to the first ever Silver Salmon podcast. I'm in front of the camera for once. This is Nick. I'm Vince. And, well, Nick, you need to start this off. You run the whole show.
Running the show, eh? Yeah, no, this is, it's going to take a bit of getting used to, but I kind of am enjoying the outside remote studio you set up here. I think it's pretty clever, man. And the more we get to know each other, I'm starting to realize that you know what you're doing in this whole industry. So it's been a pleasure to work with you so far. Yeah, man.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really happy to be with SSC. Honestly, it's starting to feel like home. I mean, we talked about. Well, you asked me a bunch last year as well, like how do we get you doing this full time? And I didn't really think about it, and then my buddy brought it up to me this spring, and then I told you, like, if there's a way for us to do that in the future, like, I think that's a good goal.
I mean, I'm so, I don't know if the proper term is so in depth with the industry that I kind of oversee things like this, but I definitely, the way you explained it, I do see the value as it gives kind of ground roots interactive platform for people to kind of to learn about a lot of the stuff that we do. You know, through your video series, they see us fishing, which is obviously a big passion, but there's so much more behind what we do. I think you know, not everyone's going to care, but I think for it to be out there, there's a good value to the community for sure. So yeah, no, this is going to be good. Give me a bit getting used to it, but yeah, no, you already got my attention for sure.
Yeah, before we get too in deep with stuff like that, why don't we do some introductions? So why don't you tell me a bit about yourself, where you started, and where your life kind of went to lead you to here?
Well, I don't know how far back we want to go, but let's start. I've always grown up
From the womb.
From the womb, eh? Yeah. I'll have to talk to Mom about that. But no, Lake Ontario, North Shore. You know, that's kind of where I grew up. So Mississauga, which resides along the shoreline, the west end of Lake Ontario. I think from a young age, I realized fishing was important to me. So I grew up along the Credit River there, which flows into Lake Ontario. I'm 45 now. So yeah, I got into that probably at the biggest point of the salmon fishery in Lake Ontario. You know, we had big runs back then, so it was exciting, and I really took to it, and then realized I wanted to somewhat make a professional direction out of that in my fishing passions. But you know, river angling is more of a solitude thing. You go out and do it yourself. So got introduced to Lake Ontario, and that's where everything kind of blossomed for me, and started chartering and guiding. You know, two different terms that kind of are the same thing. In my late teens, started with a small boat like most do. Just I try to get involved in it, and then the interest grew and the knowledge grew, and I wanted to take a more professional approach, and just kind of built up a bigger boats, got to where we are today. And yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, that's kind of me and my fishing career.
Yeah. And then just maybe a quick bit about the starting of the SSC from a few years back to where we are now.
So yeah, to take a couple steps back from how we ended up there, you know, chartering for me, we run a bigger operation. So saying that, you know, a bigger boat, larger groups. And I always enjoyed not only, you know, helping introduce new people to our fishery out in Lake Ontario, but also I kind of, myself and my mates, used our platform to help educate our groups. Yes, catching fish is important, but, you know, what's always been disappointing to me, and I've learned over many years, is the unfortunate side of not even half, I would say generally most of the people in the city of Toronto, city of Mississauga, you get into conversations about angling, fishing, Lake Ontario salmon, and they're clueless. They're dumbfounded. They do not understand what a great fishery we have right there on the doorsteps. And, I understand not everyone's into fishing, not everyone's partakes in that, but you still got to know. You still got to know that Lake Ontario is a thriving salmon fishery. So back to our clients, we kind of use our platform to help understand the history behind Lake Ontario, the collapse of the predatorial fish, and the reintroduction. So not everyone's interested in it, but I would love my groups to leave at the end of the day a little more knowledgeable and some fish to take home to eat. So kind of jumping back to the SSC question, COVID hit. I'm almost a little bit tired of talking about COVID now, but it was a big part of the year where the SSC was created, and unfortunately one of the other events was forced to cancel, and us being in the industry knew how important these tournaments are, as pretty much from when they started the conception of salmon in Lake Ontario, there's always been incentive for anglers to fish in it, with rewarded with prizes, not only their catches. So I understood that this stimulates the whole industry, and to go a year without it, yeah, we probably could have survived, but we wanted to make sure it wasn't going to be a problem. So, I came together with a group of other gentlemen and said, let's do what we can to ensure this continues on. And we looked at it just to fill the void for that first year. And as things progressed, we started to build up a bit of interest and following and honestly credibility. Who are these guys starting a new event, as there's been for so many years an existing one. It took a while, but we had a pretty good reputation in the community that we were embraced pretty quick. And I then realized my audience grew. So, I don't want to use the word preaching, but I get now not only to talk to my clients and spread the word about fishing, we have now created a platform to help stimulate the industry, but now media to promote the industry, as our fishery has been on a decline with participation since the mid-90s, and it's time to help to educate all these people that don't even know there's a fishery out there. And so far it's been great because, we found different outlets to promote, and as bad as COVID was, people were looking for things to do. So it gave us and our charter industry on Lake Ontario an opportunity to introduce new people to it as they're looking for stuff to do, and hopefully, create some more anglers out of that. So carry it on a bit, but it's a lot came together to discuss there, and it's been fun ever since. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm really excited to be a part of it because it's at a very interesting kind of turning point, from turning from just a annual tournament into where we're building it into something bigger, where you're already now starting with moving into the brown trout and the lake trout category, stuff like that, and we're doing more media to be able to give people content and whatever else year round, essentially.
Yeah, I mean the multi-species is a big deal as the fishery has that, but I believe there was so many, I'm not going to say missed opportunities, but as things have evolved with media, social media, there's more opportunity to promote the fishery outside of the community, and I think that's really needed. And honestly, you've already helped that along, advanced it very quickly. So I think I know this is kind of you running this, but I think also you should touch on where you came from and what you have to offer to the fishery through your talents.
Yeah, so funny enough, I come from the board sports world. I grew up skateboarding, wakeboarding. I was a competitive wake skater. I did the contest circuit around Ontario, stuff like that. I guess my biggest accolade in that would have been a provincial champion for 1 year. And then I met other people outside of the province. Was like, oh, they're better.
So hold on a minute. So that then, if fishing gets slow, should we set up a little wakeboard setup for you on the boat? I didn't realize you were that talented.
We could surf off the back of this probably. But yeah, so before that, actually, I was a very avid fisherman when I was young, before I started skateboarding. We grew up on a farm, and my dad built this giant pond, and I was always down there fishing. And he, funny enough, tried to skip skip a snowmobile across it midsummer when I was like 2. The video is hilarious. I'll have to get it to you sometime. But then I got into skateboarding, but I fell back into fishing. Like before the board sports stuff, like my whole goal was to be a tournament fisherman when I was like 9, 10, 11, and then switched over to the board sports stuff. But then as I started to finish off, let's call it a career, but just when I started to get out of the competitive side of the board sports, I started to see through social media a lot of the people that I looked up to in that industry were switching into, like, their pastime was fishing. And it's like, well, now I have something else to relate to these people with. And I was working at a wakeboard park in Newmarket, and the bass fishing there was actually unbelievable. And it was something that was like kind of untapped. Like people could fish from shore, and then I was kind of the first kid to go out in a boat. So the guys were like, well, why don't you just start taking people out? So like I was running the cable at this cable park, and then after that I went into being a fishing guide. And I don't want to, I would say take fishing guide with a grain of salt. Like it was pretty easy to go out and have 40, 50 fish days, like as soon as you get offshore. Or sorry, trips, because I would do multiple of those in a day. It was just too easy, so I don't want to call it guiding. I was the boat driver. And then I have also been in filmmaking. I think I was saying earlier, like I'm coming up on 20 years of having a camera in my hand from the board sports stuff. And then I got into the corporate world with that, and I always have kept that passion for board sports, fishing, stuff like that. So it was actually like very close to the start of COVID. I just was thinking, okay, I want to move into filming more fishing, not just going out and fishing and having fun. I want to work that into my career. And so I actually started filming with a guide, and then we had a fun little summer, and then it was like, okay, that's lit the fire, and I just started reaching out everywhere I possibly could, and that's how I came to be part of the SSC. And I mean, hopefully it just keeps going from here, because like I'm really enjoying it. I do joke with people that I get to be a professional fisherman because I'm here as my career as a filmmaker, but I didn't know when I came down here to St. Catharines last year with you that I was going to be like part of the fishing team. And you were just like, here, have a rod. Okay.
Well, I think, yeah, just to touch on that, it's important, right? We're only 4 man on a boat. When things get going, you need it. So I'm sure we were a bit hard on you than you expected. How we kind of go as we take our tournament fishing serious. I believe you need to be competitive and to get rewarded for your efforts. But yeah, you picked it up pretty quick. So yeah, it's been good. And I didn't realize that you did some guiding. So that it circles right back to
guiding.
Yeah, I mean it's all different terminology for it, but that's exactly, you took people out, you caught them fish, you gave them smiles. That's all the same thing, right? Just different species, different approach. So yeah, no, I didn't realize that you had that background there. That's interesting. We'll have to get you to fill in for us sometime.
I can drive the boat straight and set up a couple of dipsies or something like that. I gotta say, coming into the salmon fishing was something I didn't really know a whole lot about. I obviously knew that there was salmon in Lake Ontario. I'd always seen, friends that have gone on charters and stuff like that, but I had no idea it was as abundant as it was. Like even, let's say, coming down here to St. Catharines and seeing what guys do, even jigging, trolling around the bar, like how many fish are out there.
It is. I mean, and we'll get into that, I think, if we continue on with these podcasts, which I hope we do. We have the relationships with a lot of people that are involved in the stocking, can give you all the numbers and all that, and even where it is now from where it came from. The stocking has been reduced drastically to ensure that the fishery sustains with the bigger populations. But it's an incredible fishery, and unfortunately with the West Coast now, with I guess climate change and all the issues they're dealing with out there, this now I'm openly going to say this is like the best fishery in Canada for accessibility, catch rates. It really is, and I think we need to use our platform to help everyone understand that. And are they going to buy their own boat and come out here and be one of us? Hopefully a few of them. But even if they get involved through the charter industry, just to get out, introduce kids to it. The city's so busy. Introduce some kids on your doorstep to be able to get out there and fish. And then, sounds like you are similar to me. Fishing always in the back of your mind, no matter what you're doing. You wanted to be fishing and stuff. And of course, not all parents can help. Give us the opportunity to do that, and then obviously professional life gets going and you don't might have the time to fish. And I kind of maybe was a bit cheeky with that, turning my professional life around the fishing industry, which ask my wife, she's probably got a different opinion about it. It takes up a lot of time, and summers are usually spent in the water opposed to probably duties I should be doing at home. But it's part of my professional life, so I do have to ensure I put as much effort there as well too. So
yeah, I agree. I definitely get harped on it a little bit, but when I come down here for 5 days and we're just constantly shooting, doing whatever, and making it work, it definitely feels, like work, because we've got our goals, we've got our things we need to do, but we're still bringing in some salmon, bringing in some Lakers, whatever. Like, it's still always a great time.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys have always said, "Oh, you guys are cheating. You're always out there fishing." Not cheating, but you're out on the water more, so you get to get a little more understanding where the fish are and stuff. But when there's so much other stuff tied to it, like I'm almost a little bit envious of the guys that come down for the weekends, because their mind is strictly on fishing.
Yeah.
We have yourself running cameras, fixing GoPros, setting stop and grabbing your camera. You're not as just clear sighted on the fishing side of things, and I'm the same. I'm running around trying to figure out other stuff. We're fishing, we're reeling in fish, but there's a lot more tied to it when you're actually in the industry. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't change it for anything. But I realized at an early age, reeling in the fish, I was able to hand that, I'm not going to say pleasure, but what it is, we all want to fight a fish, bring it in. But in my early stages of guiding, I realized I would get that pleasure from hooking other people up to reel in those fish, right? So I kind of look at it the same way now when other people come out in the boat and join us. We're putting on a show for them to enjoy it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think a big part of the excitement behind it is actually triggering the strikes, getting the fish to bite, putting the program together to put together a successful day. And if someone else gets to enjoy the catch, everyone wins. So yeah,
exactly.
It was a quick learning curve, but I enjoy it just as much. Yeah.
That was something, going back to that, like handing off kind of a catch or whatever. That was something that I actually really enjoyed, because you'd have those people that would come out. And with the bass stuff, it's very like, you're doing your own thing. I'm putting you in the position to whatever you want to do, whether you're doing top water, you got a crankbait on, you're throwing a plastic, whatever. Some people they stick to their stuff. It's not working. And then I just, I pick up on that, and like somebody else is just smashing it and this person's really stubborn, or they're just not having that luck. And then I would always throw on just like a soft plastic on a little drop shot or something. You just cast it out, let it drop. By the time it hits bottom, typically always a fish on. And I would just set the rod down, open the bail, and then be like, can you just reel that in? I'm just a little bit busy. And they go to reel it in, and they're like, I got a fish. And then they see what I was using that I had got their friend to use, and they're like, okay, I need one of those now. So it was always an amazing thing to just like be able to switch someone's mindset or something like that, or just like change somebody's day with just that one catch.
I think, it's a great way to go about it, because I think what we might now take for granted, other people, you always got to keep in the back of your mind, this is their first fish possibly ever caught. And now you're the one that hooked them up and introduced them to it. Who knows where they go with it? They may never fish again. They might just take it home, have it for dinner, or they might be your next guy out beside you. So yeah, no, I think it's a very rewarding industry to be in. It's a lot of work, a lot of hours. There's no doubt about that. Fish tend to bite first light, so that's not your normal scheduling in the world, but we make it work to participate in this industry. So
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said too about that time spent on the water. Is you see this industry, you see the people that you are talking to on the dock, whatever. Some of those guys are crazy confident, guys, girls, whatever, crazy confident, and it's almost off-putting sometimes. But they just know where they are, they know where the bite is, and that's what comes from that spending a week on the water, let's say prior to a weekend. You know, I would imagine even in the salmon world, there's guys, even if they don't have a charter, they're going out double checking everything, making sure they know where they are for when that trip does happen, because there's not much worse on a trip than when you don't bring in anything.
no, you're right. And my early days, that was exactly it. I figured if you're out in the water, obviously weather, Lake Ontario could pick up and put a damper on getting out. But if you got a few days off, those are your times to get out and enjoy it, or even take out your friends, family, and get them involved. And as we got busier, we were out daily. The opportunities became thinner, and unfortunately, that's kind of when the family grew. So the kids have a dad that fishes for a living, but never has time to take the kids out, right? So it kind of, we made opportunity, and then the tournaments, and to touch on the tournament scene, when I'm out there guiding, it's for my clients. I realized early days I need to take some time to keep myself wanting to get out fishing. So we would book off the weekends to fish a tournament circuit in Lake Ontario, which is a great circuit. There's 5 or 6 major events. So it was a tough thing to change up, to know that you could have a busy weekend guiding and making an income. But I realized I needed mentally to be able to go out and be competitive. As I'm competitive in my roots, and there's nothing more enjoyable than to put your talents or your passions, or something you put so much effort to, on the line with the rest of your community, and even financially to put some money on it. It just adds that much more reward. So yeah, no, that definitely goes hand in hand.
Yeah. And then do you find it to be more of I would say, do you find it to be a fun transition going from just being involved on the fishing side to being, let's call it, being on the land side of it, with like running the SSC and doing all of that stuff? Has it been a nice change?
Yeah, I think it's good because you're still involved with the community, sharing their catches, sharing their accomplishments, sharing their big fish, right? So yeah, you're always tied to it. And the promotion side of it, I'm really enjoying. Getting local municipality support to promote what they have in their own backyard is a great value, because I know they can carry the name, or sorry, carry the fishery that much further with promotion. So yeah, no, honestly, yeah, what we all get from reeling in those fish and getting those catch, you can also find in other areas of contributing to the fishery. Yeah, no, it is. Yep.
Okay, so to give the viewers and the listeners a little context on why we decided to start a podcast, it was more me deciding to start a podcast, because you watch any of the videos on the channel. I mean, I come from a TV background as well. I worked for Snowmobiler TV back in the day, so I've got a story-oriented mind. So whenever we go to shoot something, I'm always like, let's go get interviews. Let's go talk to people. And well, we do these interviews. Nick starts talking to people, and he'll talk their ear off sometimes, and he'll ask them a question. And Simon, I'm not saying this as a slight. Let's be clear. You'll ask them a question and then answer your question, and they'll be like, exactly, that's perfect. And I'm that guy that's like, oh, but I need them to say that. So this is a perfect opportunity for you to be on camera, you to be on the mic as well, and have these conversations. And then it's not so much, we aren't limited by time, we aren't limited by really anything with video needing covering footage, stuff like that. It's more, we have an open platform to just have conversations with these people about the fishery, about fishing if we want, about everything related to what we're doing.
That's, I think, no, that's exactly it. I guess to be involved in the industry, you got to be excited about the industry.
Exactly.
So you see that firsthand, which, yeah, I guess I'll try to bite my tongue a bit more on it. But I
No,
think,
don't. It's
I think,
fine. I'm not trying to bring you down at all.
no, it's good. You're pointing things out in a kind way. But I think, being involved in this industry, fishery for so long, the networks vast. We've made a lot of
Yeah.
relationships with a lot of interesting, a lot of knowledgeable, a lot of dedicated people that don't always have the opportunity to have a platform to share their ideas, passions. Like, it's passionate to go out and actually fish and angle, but I mean, we're working with people that are just as passionate about our fishery from a lab, like from
Yeah.
data collecting, from all kinds of different aspects that we don't even think about as anglers.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that are keeping this fishery, up and running and always looking to improve it. So, I mean, that's just one of the biologist side and the science side of it all. But, the stocking programs that go behind that. And, I get not everyone's interested. They just want make sure there's fish in the lake each year. I'm going to go catch them. So be it. That's a great side of things too. But I think the youth now that want to get involved in stuff want to have a bit more of an impact. So they want to get involved with, the hatchery programs, stocking, and all that. So that's a great side of things. But also, you know, all the other anglers we compete in the tournaments. I mean, there are some pretty interesting characters, which have a lot to offer as well. So I think we can really cover a lot of different topics through this platform that might help educate our community or even give them some smiles, right? So no, I'm glad you got this up and running because this is a busy time of year, but I think we owe it to everyone to take some time to put this together and have everyone be able to step in whenever they want to follow up on some of our topics.
Yeah, exactly. And to cut back on that a little bit, or to go back on it, like we're down here at a tournament at St. Catharines this weekend. We have the opportunity to get together and talk on the podcast here. And then what was that? 2 days ago, we were out doing the lake trout tagging. We are like double dipping on a lot of our stuff. So it's great to be doing all of these different things. And I mean, when we have Sarah on, that's going to be a really fun conversation as well because it's not, let's say, a conversation around fishing. It's a conversation around fish, and like that's what I'm really excited about, that to learn more about. I mean, that one we're tagging lake trout. I know you guys have done salmon and other fish as well, so I'm really excited to learn all of that.
Yeah, not to. Sarah's actually excited. I mentioned to her that she has this opportunity, and I'm not going to touch too much onto the topics we need to cover with Sarah, but I think a big part of that relationship that's grown over the years, not only with Sarah, with many of the other scientists behind it, is bridging that gap between the science and the participants of the fishery, right? The people that recreationally go out there and fish, and what we're looking to do. I learned. They called us up. We're looking for someone to help us catch some fish to tag. Okay, sure. I think I can help with that. I'm a pretty good fisherman, I think. And the relationships and the knowledge that bounce back and forth between the two sides really grew quick. And it helped me understand their viewpoint of it. And I think I also helped them understand how we go about things. And if we can find a medium there that everyone benefits from, which we've accomplished already. And I think part of the stuff that I want to accomplish through this platform is to get guys like myself that have that passion, that want to help the science, give them opportunity to help them as well, right? Because there is a big group out there that want to get involved in what they partake in. So yeah, no, like I said, I won't get too much into that. I'll let Sarah cover a lot of that. But I think that's going to be a great one for sure.
Awesome. Well, I mean, with that, we are recording this at the end of April. It is cold, and I'm about ready to go down below deck and maybe make a coffee or something. I know you have to run, so why don't we cut it off there?
Yeah, no, very good, Vince. Appreciate you putting this together. Look forward to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited for the future with this.
Thank you.
Cutting 32 minutes on the dot.
Really?
Yeah.
That was that long.
Yeah.
Bob, how you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Cold.
Cold?
Wish I had a wheelhouse like you.
Oh, okay, it wasn't cold today out there in Mars.
No, I know. How'd your winter? Okay.